Across China, there are cities that look as if they were built for a population that never arrived. Wide roads, apartment towers, shopping districts, train stations, parks, schools, and business centers stand ready before the streets around them feel fully alive. To outsiders, they look like ghost cities. But to China, many of them were part of a much bigger bet. Build first and expect demand to arrive later. In many countries, cities grow because people arrive first. A town becomes crowded, roads become busy, housing becomes expensive. Then developers build more homes, more offices, more shops, and more infrastructure to catch up with demand. China often did the opposite. It built first and expected demand to come later. For decades, that strategy helped create one of the fastest urban transformations in history, moving hundreds of millions of people into cities while building highways, airports, ports, metros, industrial zones, housing districts, and high-speed rail at extraordinary speed. The logic seemed simple. If you build the city, people, factories, companies, and money will eventually fill it. In the late 20th century, China was still a mostly rural country, but its leaders understood that industrial economies need cities. Cities create jobs, cities concentrate workers, cities attract factories, cities increase productivity. Cities make it easier to provide schools, hospitals, transport, electricity, and public services. So urbanization became more than a social trend. It became an economic engine. The government did not just wait for cities to grow naturally. It planned them, financed them, and pushed them into existence. Land that had been farmland or empty countryside could be transformed into a new district almost overnight. Local governments would build roads, prepare land, attract developers, and sell long-term land use rights to fund more construction. Local officials wanted growth. Developers wanted land. Banks wanted to lend. Families wanted apartments. Construction companies wanted projects, and the national government wanted urbanization to keep the economy expanding. In cities across China, new districts appeared before they were fully needed. Apartment blocks were sold before people moved in. Shopping malls opened before enough shoppers arrived. Office towers were built before enough businesses existed to fill them. Entire urban zones were designed not for the population they had, but for the population they hoped to attract. This is why China built cities before people needed them. It was not always a mistake. In some places, the empty streets were temporary. A new district might look deserted for years, then slowly fill with residents, schools, shops, and businesses. What looked like a ghost city from the outside could eventually become a normal urban area. A city does not become alive the day construction ends. It becomes alive when jobs, transport, families, services, and daily routines begin to connect. China was often willing to build the skeleton first and wait for the body to grow around it. But building supply does not automatically create demand. An apartment tower is not valuable just because it exists. It is valuable if someone wants to live there. A shopping mall is not successful because it has glass walls and escalators. It is successful if people have money to spend inside it. A business district is not powerful because it has tall buildings. It is powerful if companies, workers, and capital actually move in. For years, China's property market made the bet seem safe. Real estate became one of the main ways Chinese families stored wealth. In a country with limited investment options and a rapidly growing middle class, buying apartments became a financial strategy. Many families bought homes not only to live in, but as investments for the future. This meant developers could sell apartments even in places where few people lived yet. A family might buy a unit in a new city because they believed prices would rise. A developer might build more towers because buyers kept coming. A local government might approve more land sales because the revenue helped fund roads, schools, and public projects. Construction created growth. Confidence pushed prices higher. Higher prices encouraged more building, and more building generated more local revenue. For local governments, new cities were a way to show progress. Empty land could become visible growth. A new district could prove that officials were modernizing the region. A high-speed rail station, a conference center, a financial district, or a government plaza could signal ambition long before the economic activity arrived. In a system where political careers could be linked to development targets, construction became a language of success. But the same machine that created growth also created excess. When too many cities build for a future population that may not arrive, the result is oversupply. When too many families buy homes as investments instead of places to live, the result is empty apartments. When too many developers borrow heavily to keep building, The result is debt. And when prices stop rising, the entire system begins to feel fragile. That is what made China's ghost cities so fascinating to the outside world. They looked like symbols of waste. Empty streets, silent towers, huge plazas without crowds, new airports and train stations serving places that seemed too small to need them. They became images of a country building faster than reality could catch up, but the truth is more complicated. Some so-called ghost cities did eventually fill up, others remained underused. Some became successful because industries, universities, or transport links arrived. Others struggled because they lacked jobs, culture, or a reason for people to move there. A city cannot live on buildings alone. People move for opportunity. Work, education, family, status, lifestyle, and hope. If a new district has apartments but no strong job market, roads but no companies, malls but no income growth, and towers but no community, it remains a place people may own on paper but never truly inhabit. You can construct buildings quickly, but you cannot manufacture trust, habits, culture, and economic purpose at the same speed. China's property boom also depended heavily on debt. Developers borrowed to buy land and build projects. Local governments relied on land sales. Banks and shadow finance kept credit flowing. Buyers purchased unfinished apartments, giving developers cash before construction was complete. But when confidence weakened, the risks became visible. If buyers begin to doubt that prices will rise, they may stop purchasing. If developers cannot sell enough units, they struggle to finish projects. If unfinished homes remain unfinished, public trust erodes. If local governments lose land sale revenue, they have less money to fund infrastructure and services. The empty city is no longer just a strange visual. It becomes a financial warning. This is why China's pre-built cities are not only an architecture story, they are an investment story. They show what happens when real estate becomes tied to growth, savings, local government finance, and national ambition all at once. China was not irrational to build ahead. A rapidly urbanizing country needs infrastructure before people arrive. If roads, trains, and housing are built too late, cities become chaotic, expensive, and inefficient. In that sense, building early can be smart, but building too much, too fast, in too many places, creates another problem. It turns the future into an assumption. It assumes population growth will continue. It assumes young people will keep moving to new cities. It assumes wages will rise. It assumes property will remain the safest investment. It assumes developers can keep borrowing. It assumes families will keep buying. It assumes demand will eventually catch up with supply, and when enough assumptions are built in concrete, reversing them becomes very difficult. Are China's empty cities a sign of visionary planning, or a warning that too much capital was poured into places before the economy truly needed them? The answer may be both. Some projects will age into success, the apartments will fill, the roads will become busy, the schools will open, the shops will find customers. What looked empty in the beginning may one day look normal, but other projects may never become what planners imagined. They may remain underused, overpriced, or disconnected from real economic demand. They may stand as reminders that buildings can be constructed faster than communities can form. China built cities before people needed them because it believed urbanization was the path to wealth, modernization, and national power. For a generation, that belief helped transform the country. It gave millions of people new homes, new jobs, and new opportunities. It created modern skylines where villages once stood. It connected inland regions to coastal economies. It turned construction into one of the engines of China's rise. But now the question has changed. The question is no longer whether China can build cities. It already proved that it can. The question is whether those cities can create enough real demand, jobs, income, and daily life to justify the money poured into them. Because a city is not made of towers, it is made of people. And across China, in places where the buildings arrived before the crowds, one of the largest economic experiments in history is still waiting for its final answer. Did China build the future early, or did it build too much of a future that may never fully arrive?